moment being banned away as Elise and Caitlyn are the follow-up bans from WE, and the Thresh, the 100% win rate champion, is going to be banned away by SK Telecom.
Small other little factor. Remember that SKT doesn't have choice of side in this game. They had to go on red side as the LPL had choice of sides in Game 2 and Game 4. So WE also got their choice of side. It means they can get a prize first pick. And it seems like, just like the last time these two teams faced, they're like, well, do you want Galio? You can have it.
Yeah, exactly. Faker already showcased that he's more than confident to take the Cassiopeia into that matchup and will go toe-to-toe with you. That said, we have seen Galio flex into the top lane once in the LPL. Don't think it's going to be this time around.
Well, looks like priority on the bottom lane here as Ashe is going to be locked in. Remember, Faker does also have the Lucian that he can take into that Galio matchup and does like it sometimes. As there's the pick away, the Lee Sin going to be taken by Peanut, but Condi, of course, has that Rek'Sai as well as the Gragas to go towards as well. So plenty of jungle picks still here, but it is going to be the Rek'Sai.
And there were two very different style of Galio comps between the two. The Galio Rengar was the big initiation duo that was thwarted by the Lee Sin having tabs on the Rengar. Now this time around, are they willing to surrender lane control against SK Telecom? Because the Kog'Maw seems to be the spirit animal of the LPL, and it's coming back again as Froskuren is adjusting herself on the caster.
I mean,
okay.
At some point I will give Team WE some credit that I guess if you're this confident, if you're this willing to double down, you took down the Flash Wolves with it, why not SKT? But I just feel like it's a completely different monster here.
SKT, if they want that prized Cassiopeia, it has to be now. The bans can come in towards the mid lane, and instead we will see the flex pick Karma come through from SKT.
I actually think that's smart. Now I understand that you know Faker, he has options he can take into the Galio.
Well, the Lulu ban.
Exactly, because now they're going to pinch the support pool and make sure that for sure they can get the dominant 2v2 and really put that Kog'Maw on the ground. So take away any sort of partner pushing options like the Lulu, like the Karma.
And now the mind games begin because Fiora is banned, one of the strongest champions at dealing with top lane Galio, and suddenly ambiguity from both sides is starting. This is the sort of pick and ban where I'm like, I wish we got a best of 5 between these two teams. The mind games of what was previously a best of 3. This is the 4th game between these two teams since start of MSI. They're going to continue.
100%. Home and Coma are good friends. I always see them buddy-buddy. Afterwards they're always going to share a cheeky smile and a nice little bow, but this could be trying to bait SKT into a mid lane Galio, flex that up into the top.
Well, it is going to be the time KêNH banned away by SK Telecom. Like you mentioned, they're going to be sticking to pinching that support role. And now, do WE change it up? Do they take away something else? And the Talia is going to be the aim. So SK Telecom can go towards that Cassiopeia and leave that top lane available, or go for the flex pick. Pick their top lane now and let that Karma be an enigma. It
does mean that with the Talia being taken away, that Team WE will have at least mid lane priority if Galio slots there over into those side lanes.
And you definitely take the Jax now, or the top lane now, because maybe you want to take Cassio into Galio, but you don't have that information. There are no more ban phases. Get the full information out of what WE want to do, because the difference between WE's comp in their match against SKT and now is the Kog'Maw. Remember, it was Lucian Braum. It was a lane-focused AD carry support then. Cassiopeia has to fight front to back. If you can't get onto the Kog'Maw, Cassiopeia might not be the right fit. So now we'll finally get the confirmation of where these roles are going, unless we see some pretty intense flex picks.
Well, Braum is not going to be flexed. That's going to be the support locked in for WE. Now waiting for either top or mid. And it is going to be that cataclysmic entrance combo being considered by WE.
And this is pretty much the exact same composition, or close to, that Team WE took into the Flash Wolves. So we all know how this is going to work. It's the giant cannonball with the initiation and creating that massive front line for Mystic to shine.
We have to remember that the Lulu was an integral part of that comp, though, and Zero not going to be on that one now. It is going to be the Braum. So a change-up, and the Cassiopeia, now that they know exactly what the comp is going to be taken into that Galio. So the bottom lane, a lot of poke pressure and things coming out from SKT, and Braum, the melee support, may actually find that this could be difficult to deal with.
I mean, SKT have a very strong bottom side of the map, and they have Jax as their split push insurance to give them a backup win condition. But this team comp from WE we've seen mostly cribbed together from what we saw from them just yesterday is fearsome in the late game. SK Telecom will need a gold lead to be able to fight them and then some. So I like the fact that they have multiple identities, but WE are still on ultra comfort.
And that's the thing that I wanted to hit. It's the flexibility of SKT's composition. They're not forced into playing the 5v5 if Team WE do start to get that ramping power. Eventually, Jax will hit that tipping point and they can play a side lane. And if there's anything that's super devastating to LPL teams, it's making them choose and splitting them up across the map.
Well, there's the smile and a handshake that you were mentioning, Frosker, and And these two teams, comfort on one side, and of course just supreme power on the other. We'll see whether it's going to work out a little bit better this time as well, because the Rek'Sai's now in the jungle. It's not going to be the Jarvan, which can be a little bit squishy and lack that early pressure until the level 6. Instead, it's going to be Rek'Sai, where you can start ganking from level 3, and WE can put the pressure on far earlier this time around with this composition.
It also gives you a really nice bridging point to try to get that Kog'Maw into that late game. Rek'Sai, being changed into her new iteration, she does do significantly more damage here, and she can be more of that Fido bruiser in the early mid-game.
And at the end of the day, when you have a Kog'Maw, it's about sleight of hand. You want to say, okay, focus on all of this while the Kog'Maw is hitting item spikes. Not going to have the comfortable lane of Jhin just giving up CS to Kog'Maw like we saw in Flash Wars versus WE. This time, a lot of lane pressure in the bot side.
Yeah, we have to remember that Mystic was able to dominate that lane early, but here we are, Summoner's Rift, WE versus SKT. Always a pleasurable matchup to watch, and we'll see whether WE can make it a little bit more competitive this time. No longer do SKT have that Kalista and Rakan combination. Not going to be able to have that sort of super dominant, disgusting, unable to deal with duo.
Yeah, I believe my favorite part of that game was watching Blank just walk up into 3 people, kill everyone, and then peace out.
Yeah, exactly. It is going to be a slight mouse issue on the desk there, ladies and gentlemen, so we are going to make sure we shore that one up, but of course, no crash computers, anything like that. We'll be back onto the Rift very, very soon. Peanut,
it's always Peanut.
Peanut just... Why does he struggle so much with peripherals, Papa Smith?
I think they've told the story before that he uses a very, very old mouse that has lots of different issues with PCs. So he goes international.
The trackball probably got caught up with some lint or something.
It's not Kerp. It's Peanut using the old Brood War mouse that people loved to use many a moon ago.
Oh my goodness,
yes,
that one. He's such a hipster. That is ridiculous.
It's actually not the same as what's supplied by his sponsor either. So.
Oh.
But you got to have comfort on your mouse.
That's true. And you get used to one, and it's really difficult to move to another.
I'm also trying to really work out, why not Blank? Because, they're saying, all right, we've got to send out SKT. This is where we're at. We need to pick up the match victory. They don't go for Blank, who was available, who's already played against this team previously. Maybe they're just saying, we're taking it to 5. We're probably going to have to see SKT again. It would be another level of sleight of hand if you could run SKT with Blank in a game 5.
I mean, there's also the fact that Peanut got to sit back and watch that game, absorb a lot of what was happening. He did have a more experience facing Team WE at MSI, so maybe it's just an experience thing. Again, it's kind of not back to the wall just yet for the LCK. I think every LPL fan is still holding their breath about how this best of 5 will turn out. But I feel like Peanut's a bit more prepared, maybe, in terms of all of the information he's been able to gather. And
we have this conversation all the time about the jungler sitting with the coach and learning the pathing of his opponents. Papa Smithy, you always say that on the desk when you do have the sub-ins of Blank halfway through a series, things like that. It might mean that he does have the read on Condi a little bit better.
Worth knowing that it wasn't a series, right? There was days for him to watch a VOD. So over the course of the best of 5, I'm a huge fan of being able to have a jungler watch for pathing, but both junglers could have talked about the pathing subsequently. So when it comes to power, what I think that especially international viewers who haven't really scrutinized the LCK so far this season may miss is that this MSI configuration has been losing win rate. They actually lose games very often with Huni and Peanut as their starting duo. It's been Huni and Blank. It's been Untara and Peanut. They've been mixing it up. And in fact, Untara Blank is probably the best 5. So the fact that they're going for a lineup that worked previously on the international stage but has struggled recently, still to me is a surprise.
So I'm going to ask you a question, although we don't get a chance. Atlas?
No, you can still ask the question. Come on, it's the early game. We're not even a minute in.
we saw the incredible performance that Peanut put at MSI against the Gigabyte Marines on Lee Sin. We saw Blank's performance yesterday on Lee Sin. Who is definitively the best Lee player between Peanut and Blank?
I mean, career-wise, you have to give it to Peanut, but this season, it's easy answer. It's definitely Blank because his ability to understand where and when to apply pressure and his innate ability to play around his lanes better because he's not a solo-focused jungler. He's focused more on the team's goals than his own, means that I definitely give the lead to Blank.
And there's also been times where some of the super flashy plays out of Blank have been Peanut-esque. You've been watching, you're like, oh, what's the nameplate up there? Because he's getting the kick flashes and making the things happen.
And see, to me, that could even be a smaller factor as we have some level 1 skirmishing. Just because Condi is a legacy Lee Sin player, they did deny that pick away, so maybe just going for
Mystic.
Confidence.
What are you doing? Faker possibly out of position as well. Uses the cleanse, flashes as well. All of the summoner spells going down for this first blood, and it's going to go to Mystic. This is exactly what WE want, and LPL setting themselves up.
And I didn't even expect anything. I was like, this is fine. It's just going to be some level 1 skirmishing back and forth. But like you said, best case scenario that Kog'Maw walks away with first blood at 2 minutes in this game.
And we've seen a lot of contests around this hard double leash go wrong. Just look at the NA versus EU Rift rivals. They didn't invest enough. It was only Wolf and Bang casually poking around the backside. Faker went too far trying to get just a single small raptor, and the moment that he was that far up, he was available to be killed.
But even then, it's such a scary situation to walk into, that 3v3, if you miss your initial poking abilities as the Karma, as the Ashe, you're walking into a Braum. That's still pretty disrespectful of SKT.
So at this point, you're like, okay, they got the poke in, suddenly Mystic is walking back in, you think, oh, Mystic, what are you doing? You're taking free damage. But because he was so far up, it's a 4-man collapse. Wolf can do nothing. He'd already skilled Q at level 1. They have so much level 1 power with the concussive blows and also the very short cooldown on the Winds of War from the Galio. Disrespect from Faker has got him a lot of his accolades. He is an aggressive player, but sometimes it's a bridge too far.
Yeah, has bitten him in the past. However, he has turned it around here in this lane, 13 CS to 9, but was something that he was able to do before. And now, with the assist next to Xie's name and the fact that he is a Galio, he just wants to become a big old tank in that late game. We saw it against Flash Wolves. It wasn't about flashy plays with Xie, it was about not being able to die. And that's exactly what he should be able to set himself up for, unless Peanut can make something happen now. Xie taking half of his health in damage and still wants to back away, and it's only Faker that he has knowledge of.
Condi, though, seems to have a good read on where Peanut would be hanging around, and Xie, like you said, smartly playing towards the top side of the lane, so feels like Team WE at least understand what could happen right now.
Both teams playing around vision. Bot side, we do not see the free farm from Kog'Maw like we mentioned in the Jhin lane against Flashful. It's going to be a lot more competitive. Double ranged from the side of SKT makes that the Kog'Maw's job a lot harder. A lot of the playbook from SKT involves Faker having pressure around mid, which you can pencil in. You can put it in damn pen, calligraphy even, for a normal game.
Tattoo it on my neck.
You could consider that. But when the early game goes so against script, some of those things that they thought for sure in Champ Select are now more of a question mark as Condi. Well, he's feeling a second.
Yeah, and there's no vision available for SKT as well, so Faker still going to play respectfully. Doesn't have Flash for another half of the cooldown. 2.5 minutes, something like that, as Xie, we're going to push this one even further up. Condi's going to be able to grab this.
Into the side of his jungle, you'll notice. He knows there could be a Raptor play.
But already we have a completely different script from the first time these teams played. Again, Faker absolutely dominated Xie level 2, and there was no coming back for Team WE. Now it's at least equal footing. We'll get to see what happens when these two titans clash, when the line in the sand is drawn evenly.
Speaking of clashing, Peanut is going to find that his Raptor camp was just taken by Condi, so jungler location known. See, Huni was struggling a little bit earlier on up there towards the top side of the map, had already gone back to base. 957 sitting on that gold and sitting on his teleport still at the same time. Cloth armor is the first option there for Huni. As Peanut makes his way in, just finds a cheeky Q. Going to try and help clear out this minion wave, give Faker that back that he was looking for earlier. Yeah,
Faker's already sitting on much more than tier gold and hasn't been able to get the preferential back time. So for now, delay City from the side of WE.
The teleport going to come in now for 957 as he grabs the double longsword and a ruby crystal plus that control ward. That back certainly worked out. You can see Huni has shoved this wave forward and will be able to get himself a back and shouldn't lose too much when he walks back to lane.
Yeah, it does look like 957 is actually looking to hold the wave or freeze it there. So while Huni does get to just stroll back to the lane, maybe he has to pull a jungler to break that.
So comps like this that we see from WE, I've seen sparingly in the LCK. Sometimes you'll see a Kassadin, sometimes you'll see a Hypercarry in bot lane. But honestly, the pretty common choice is something like a Karma comp, a very early to mid-game scaling comp. Try to just play the vision game, take all the standing gold, and ensure the comp can never come online. That potential has certainly gone down a little bit because of the level 1 and increasingly because tier has come in late, lane control has come in late. Xie being competitive in CS in 6 minutes is something that has been afforded by the level 1, but the lane still is going to be pretty damn good for Cassiopeia.
I also feel like there's always going to be the potential and a threat of picks, though, with the Ashe and the Cass.
Sure.
Just because the LPL's vision control has just been so lackluster this entire tournament. And still, even though Huni's struggling a little bit right now in the lane phase, like I said, 957 setting up that freeze, punishing Jax as he's trying to overreach for it.
Speaking of overreaching, bang. Concussive blows now up to 3 stacks as Zero's looking to try and get the stun. Peanut's going to make his way down as Mystic possibly going to get snared. Is going to as the Q lands on a minion just behind Mystic. SKT are going to back away, and 3 members down towards the bottom side of both teams means that mid lane and top lane not as much pressure.
Yeah, it is a first spawn Infernal Drake, which does draw Peanut to Ray around bot side. Japs would love an early gank. It's mid lane.
Yep, Faker in trouble, gets the ultimate down as he throws in the cleanse. Interesting, wasn't quite aware as the Winds of War aren't going to find the target. Flash has to be burnt once again as Condi. He's looking for it, the flash knock up, all too easy as Faker. That is the 2 deaths for SKT, and WE continue the onslaught.
Yeah, Faker wants to play strong, but this is not the last time these two teams play. They don't have the same tabs on the enemy jungler. Condi is the first one to rotate. Peanut is often second unless he gets a great start in the early game. Contesting of the red buff.
Yeah, there's going to be Condi that grabs it. Early smite for Peanut. Very unfortunate for SKT. However, WE looking brilliant as 957 getting aggressed on. Good counter-strike from Huni. Means the damage trade going certainly in the way of Jax.
It is really fun how the trades will go between Jax and Jarvan because both of them have a very long cooldown ability that needs to be used to actually win a trade, and then they kind of have to saunter away when the E's are down for both the counter-strike or the flag. So given how things go, we will often see pretty big health discrepancies, and the Corrupting Potion charges are going to be really the only reward you get because people just back away, and when their cooldowns are up, has so much more threat.
Now SKT needing to play defensively. 1,200 gold is the lead for WE. Nothing really to write home about just yet, especially when you're up against SKT. I feel like you need at least a 13,000 gold lead for it to really feel like a lead, as this Infernal Drake is going to go down. Zero not even going to chuck a ward over the side of the pit.
And this is actually just poor staggered backs from Team WE. So you notice that Mystic right now is in base looking for the buy, but they also have a TP discrepancy. And Zero? That's pretty brave.
Yeah, it did have a heroic entrance to back him up.
With full information, Peanut actually didn't have smite, so that was a great time to contest, but no way that they would have known that. So in the end, like you say, because of the back stagger, the small little mechanical plays that can be baited out. There's a little advantage there as blue buff. Peanut has to take it.
Yeah, so Faker not going to be able to get that blue, and that is definitely a win for WE. The experience, of course, is going to be something Peanut's happy about after just losing his red buff. However, otherwise, bad news bears for SKT once again.
And just so much respect given by SKT to Team WE in those situations. You know, they had the numbers advantage. They even had vision that Kog'Maw was in the bottom side of the lane. Arrow was available. And instead, they just secured their own blue buff, not passing it to Faker, and back away.
Well, here's the heroic entrance in the Cataclysm. Huni has to blow the flash, but Arrow's going to land onto Shie right next to the turret.
Avatar shot.
Yep.
Oh, never mind.
Nope.
Bang just demonstrating his very good aim. That's good.
Two.
You were mentioning exhibition match earlier on, so yes, he can hit an arrow. Nicely done.
It went from an exhibition match to suddenly a lot more than that. If it was a 1-0 lead for LCK, I think you would start to feel the exhibition feel, but China winning the first game is reminiscent of when we have a best-of-5 LCK final and SKT doesn't win the first game, because now the straps are off and SKT with Faker, usually the beacon of hope and the reliable mid laner, he's a bit behind in this game, behind in CS compared to dominating in the matchup last time. A lot's now up in the air.
But ultimately, I'm more afraid for Team WE than I was in the first game. This feels like this quiet tension, this patience from SKT.
That's the feeling that you get almost every time. No flash knock-up available as the Prey Seeker doesn't find Huni.
It was actually about a 0.2 second window there, because you do interrupt with the knock-up during the leap strike animation, so only just was able to get out. This time has a ward, so can continue to play out.
Yep, knows that Condi has completed that back. So Huni just above half health. I'm going to see what he can get done. Went back and got himself an extra Doran's Blade. Ninja Tabi already being complimented, but 957, 20 CS in the lead on this job and feeling very, very good. That is contributing to this lead that WE have got for themselves. All lanes, apart from the bottom side, are going to be winning.
And Team WE's path is pretty clear. They're waiting for the Galio ultimate to come back up. They have the teleport now in Jarvan's hands, and so they want to fight bottom.
Yep, the ultimate is going to come out. Good exhaust onto Mystic to stop that damage, but Bang's been exhausted as well. They're looking for Zero, who gets an arrow to the face, and He's trying to get after Bang, but he's doing a lot of damage. In comes Huni, but 957, he's found the Ash, and she should go down. No! Bang's alive for so long. It's the Acathian surprise that's going to finish him off. Wolf's going to head down, as now Huni's going to get Cataclysm once again. Another safeguard is going to get Peanut out to safety, and Wolf just has to walk away. The collapse from WE too strong.
And the immediate teleport's coming down, but the big defining factor for me was Xie being able to get down there and Faker not able to. Yes, he went for the Cassiopeia, he dominated the matchup in game number 1, but with the denial of the Taliyah, we said this is the big difference. Faker is tied to the lane, Xie has an out towards these sides.
But you take a step back and realize it was a 2-for-2 after all the action, and Faker crept up and got CS, didn't leave lane, as everyone came to the bot lane. Hero's entrance was still on cooldown when all of this happened. Zero and his AD carry went down early, and you thought, okay, this is going to be SKT opening the game, but 957 is so smart, waits for the lead strike to Peanut for getting both of them in the AoE, held on to the ultimate for the perfect amount of time. Still, I would say, SKT went out because Cassiopeia didn't have to leave lane and got her first preferential back of the game after she was dictated to for 12 minutes.
Well, Huni, once again, the aggression is on as Mystic tanking up the turret, still doing so
no
much damage. Yeah, he's in a whole lot of trouble. Zero is going to pick up the kill. Mystic almost dies, but I'd say calculated to that one as 5 kills now to 2 in favor of WE.
Speaking of greedy plays, Mystic is always going to be the greediest member of Team WE, but thankfully, his team is shadowing underneath him.
Oh, okay, tunnel going to be used before KØNDY gets rooted. As Faker, he's in trouble. Good flash as the heroic entrance is baited out. Zero doesn't lose his life, but they do get a key ultimate. Now the red buff being contested.
The buff contest have gone the way so far of WE. They also forced Peanut to take the blue last time out, so global cooldown is down. Jed now will take a bit of pain.
Okay, Windsor Wall not going to find anyone. As the arrow is going to fly forward, KØNDY flashes very early to make sure that one doesn't land, but Kog'Maw getting free farm up towards the top side. SKT find normalcy, but it's still feeling in favor of WE.
Keep rotating the lanes to try to get Jax back in a 1v1. Desperately wants to be in lane against Jarvan despite being way behind in terms of items. First choice for the Trinity Force is a Stinger, which is a different one, but does allow him to stack up the Fervor Keystone even faster.
Interesting. Cooldown reduction there as well, something that he does like as the Jax, but could have got a Sheen. Just wants to go for more extended trades, I guess.
I mean, the burst trades, Jarvan does a lot of base damage too, so burst trades not necessarily going to be a 1-1 for Jax like most lane matchups.
Like you said, Papa, he wants that 1v1, but he's not going to get it as Zero is actually crept up behind him, and you can see Mystic filing in underneath them. They're looking to dive.
Oh, it's not the kind of Christmas that Huni wanted. But Zero doesn't have a mini wave, so he's just going to wander past.
They have a very small window to execute on this. You can see that Wolf is on his way down.
KØNDY going to make his way in as well, so it's going to be a 4 versus 1 after all said and done. You're exactly right, though. Extra members here, but that's the knock-up, and double comes in. Good stun, but it's only onto Zero, as 957 should be able to finish it off, and he does. SKT just a little late to the party, and WE will grab first brick and continue this aggression. Faker finally gets himself a blue buff, but WE do not want to relent. This early game has gone fantastically well so far for the LPL squad.
It just feels eerily reminiscent of some of the earlier Peanut and Huni games where Huni continues to play disrespectful, has only played carries this tournament, second game on the Jax, trying to be judicious with his ward jump, trying to be judicious with his Q, and didn't have flash up, and now twice punish.
Yeah, and it loses so much tempo. You know, it's one thing if Huni just steps off that tower, lets it fall because Team WE had the numbers advantage in the early rotation, then it would allow SKT to maybe contest this Infernal, not let Team WE get the 2-for-1 special.
But the problem is, if Huni doesn't have lane pressure on the Jarvan, which 50 CS down and so far being rotated around happens, then Cassiopeia already clearly doesn't have a CS advantage over Galio. It's just going to be WE with map control and the hero's entrance and double teleport and just making plays around SKT that they won't always be able to spot with on-point vision. Peanut has been able to pick up 2 kill involvements, but largely has been running around trying to put out fires, and the fires are just coming and rampaging from the side of WE.
Which is why I feel that SKT at this point need to do exactly this. They just need to group up and start using that arrow and threatening with Faker's follow-up on it. I'd like to see them team up a bit more with Bang, but pick a lane. Go bot, go mid, but try to see if you can just throw that arrow, jump on what you catch, and then immediately break a structure.
Yeah, we'll see whether they can capitalize on something, because at the moment, it's looking difficult. This bottom outer turret should be an option, but WE are going to trade that by the looks for this Rift Herald. See whether they can get it in time, because it wasn't going down all that quickly, but something on the board here for SKT.
And you're going to say that this is going to be a better trade for Team WE, because effectively this Rift Herald should be able to translate into another structure. But when you're as far down and behind as SKT are in terms of their item breaking points and just down in gold, anytime you can make a trade, it's going to feel good.
And they have to invest multiple members coming top to not just stop it being a complete one trade by WE. The turret health and top side is going to be low. They're going to give up bonus objectives. So, you know, I do follow your logic. Even picking up something in this game, losing very clearly more objectives. Even a damn Raptor camp is being stolen away.
Oh,
Shie, still pretty tanky. That's worth noting.
Going to kick him back, so Shie's trying to get himself out of there. Taunt comes in, Shie almost loses some of his health bar. Finally, he goes down somewhat low as the arrow. Oh, barely inches by. Winter's Bite also not going to find the marker. Zero maybe a little bit too far forward. Unbreakable's there, and he's going to stand behind. Pugmore, and he'll be fine.
They don't actually have vision in the red side jungle for a good Jarvan teleport. So Jax and Jarvan are free farming in this case, and given where Jax has been at, that's just fine from the side of SKT. They desperately need a ward here to actually allow a punish.
But Jax understood that his target was to go for that tower, whereas Jarvan understood that he was going to look for the flank. So smartly, SKT back it up.
Okay, now some normalcy on the Rift. 3,000 gold is going to be the lead for WE. Definitely not a mark where you say SKT are out of it. Of course, their ability to play in the late game is fantastic. Want to have a look at where the wards are. As you can see, they set up for that Rift Herald. There was good bot side vision earlier on for WE, but now it's looking pretty dark down there. We do have to make sure we keep tabs on it, because it was what the LPL noticed they were lacking in. Vision was certainly something that WE was struggling with earlier on.
And W's read here needs to be that SKT want to have Jax in a side lane, Cassio in a side lane, Faker doing his best crown impression. The two of them love this playstyle, and actually pull off a dive in the mid lane. They can do it. They have so much follow-up, including a Flash Glacial Fissure with the hero's entrance on top of it. But now just going to jump over and try to contest the red is Huni.
Yep. Going to get collapsed on, though. Good lead strike comes out as no one's going to get hit by the Glacial Fissure. Condi does lock down the red buff, but SKT gets some cooldowns.
It's all a bait, though. You'll notice Cassio is bot side. They're going to rotate to mid. Taking this turret will be a big game, but SKT can send 4 to mid lane. And now the Glacial Fissure is down.
And do they have enough wave clear is the question. Shie's going to jump in, kick out from Peanut, gets rid of him, but look at this, Mystic, some free time on this turret. Wolf is going to get the snare, has to flash out of the way though, as there's the heroic entrance. Living Artillery is going to help do it for Mystic, as he just throws down the Bio-Arcane Barrage, picks up some more kills. Condi's going to grab Peanut as bang. He's going to miss another arrow. And Huni, he's trying to get what he can done. He takes down Mystic. It's actually Faker that's going to be able to get the damage. Taunt onto Faker. He's looking for more kills, but he's going to be taken down. Condi with his third in a row. Make that a double. It's going to be the inner turret now under fire. WE continuing, and this is another victory for the LPL squad.
And Faker tried to make the hero play, flashing over the wall with the ultimate, but it's a wash for SKT in the end. Not only do they lose one structure, but two. Makes it that much easier for Team WE to start inching in that vision line, because Baron spawns in 20 seconds.
And when the items are not there for a Cassiopeia, you don't get the same payoff compared to the Gallia, who got 3 crucial taunts off in this fight. Wolf dies, someone had to walk up, ended up being Wolf. But then Peanut just makes a mistake. He thinks he's buying time for the Cassio flank and dies. They keep turning on, and even though this is a massive AoE stun for Huni, feeling like he has Faker in his pocket to turn, Faker doesn't have the items behind him. Morellonomicon not complete. Jie is just able, with his early build, to have cooldown reduction to get taunt after taunt, and every one of those taunts is a dagger through the heart of SK Telecom.
Just the power of Galio at this point in the game. You know, unlike the first time they met, he didn't just get blown out. He's such a tanky front line, and there's just no damage to burn him down.
And he feels tanky enough to just get a damn Knight's Vow to keep the Kog'Maw alive, and now even an assassination from Jax or Cassiopeia on the Kog'Maw is looking impossible.
Now they've teamed up with their Rift Herald, so drawing pressure bottom from Faker means that WE can now move into that Baron Pit area, start securing vision, and setting up for future plays.
6,000 gold is going to be the lead. 2 items there for the Kog'Maw, as you were saying. So Mystic setting himself up, looking like he's going for more attack speed after this. I certainly hope that it's going to be the Ginsu's Rage Blade like last time. He certainly made that one look good. And you have to remember, the WE have a composition that works fantastically well in the late game. And Faker is now in a Thunderdome of hell. See whether he gets the ultimate off, and he does. Mystic's going to be taken down. Wolf claims the kill as Faker just trying to sap that health back. 957 throws down the standard, and they do get the snake lady, but have they dove too far? As Bang off to the side, but unable to head any way further. That is carry for carry here, but trading even is not what WE want to do, especially not with Huni pushing top.
And Peanut thought that he could flash kick and keep Cassiopeia alive, but the last spell did enough damage, ends up just getting him further to safety. See the turn onto Infernal. Wolf's walking up.
Here comes Peanut.
Yeah, Peanut's here as well, as Huni's going to make
teleporting.
his way in. Maybe an over-aggressive
Peanut
move
got
as in goes Peanut, steals it away. Make that 2 Infernal Drakes now as heroic entrance, I believe, was actually cancelled.
Yep.
There was a circle on the map, but it's now gone. There's a stun on Peanut, but he's still alive.
Dang.
Huni still looking for more auto attacks, and he's been free hitting. Kondi is going to fall down as now Peanut wants to find Xie. Bang doing so much damage, and Peanut is going to be taken. It's a double now, but Xie says goodbye to his life, and now Bang is going nuts. And look, it's not over yet, everyone.
And that is multiple shutdown bonuses in the pocket of Bang right there. Picked it up off of the Galio, so where they were struggling with their itemization, struggling to kill that tanky front line, it gets that much easier from here on out.
Yeah, it was his first kill of the game, but will it be a titanic one? As we see this big passage of play, things actually start off pretty rough to the side of SKT. Petrifying Gaze on point. Faker lasts longer against Xie than you could ever have imagined. Peanut wants to hit the kick flash, but the flag hits him and just a single auto attack is enough. And you think, okay, passage of play is over. W have done this a few times before. We won't see the back end because the dragon fight with the steal and also Bang picking up the crucial shutdown kill onto Galio might reverberate bigger as we go forward. 23 minutes in, suddenly Baron buff looking pretty tasty for WE.
But again, it's these mid-game mistakes from the LPL teams across the board. Why go for the dive on Faker there when you could just collapse down to the Infernal? Pick up your vision, start playing more of a smarter, cleaner macro game.
Or why go for this fight at all afterwards?
Well, I mean, you're probably surprised to see SKT walk up, given that Cassiopeia was dead. They get the steal. The hero's entrance was cancelled, like you mentioned. Interrupted, I believe, during the course of this fight. Bang walks away, but he comes back in at full health, and while he may be behind in terms of items, still largely free hitting for the fight. Xie, I wonder if he could have gotten away. He could have just clearly charged, but ends up just going for the 1-for-1 that gives a shutdown kill and a big load of experience to Bang. The last 1-for-1 there, I think, was the most stark mistake of the whole passage of play.
That's pretty crucial, as there's the Unbreakable Zero, just trying to tank that one up, as now Mantra Inspire is going to get SKT to relative safety, but the flash from Kondi is going to draw one out from Wolf as well.
Good trade if you're side of SKT. Happy to trade Karma's flash for that of the Rek'Sai. Faker's probably going to get chased here. Right now, though, he actually has a bit of space.
Kondi doesn't have flash.
Has team members catching up there as well, so Faker is going to create the distance. WE not wanting to take the fight on SKT's terms.
Huni's been able to pick up a lot of CS, now getting a bit of free time in the mid lane while Baron is being started, or at least clean. No, it is started.
Yeah, SKT do have a ward at the back of the pit, though, as Faker sitting on his flash. Petrifying Gaze is going to be there, so 957, he's going to start this one up. Heroic Entrance is going to be there, but not really going to get much done as the redemption comes down. Huni right into the backline, gets the flash. Oh, avoids the Glacial Fissure. As now Xie is trying to make his way in. There's the flash torn on a Faker, but he flashes back, uses the ultimate. Faker still alive now as Kondi trying to get himself into position, but SKT have got themselves back. Massive taunt and massive stuns coming out from SKT as now WE struggling. Peanut is going to die, but the health bars are low for WE, and it's only one kill.
And because Peanut is dead, they're going to turn towards the Baron. That means that the only option for SKT would be to fight Team WE to force them off of this.
It almost looked like it would be the team fight of heaven for the side of SKT, but not enough damage. Peanut not getting the preferential kick, died kicking one member away. Baron down to 4,000. What can SKT do?
Well, there's no flash on this Galio. He can't get that taunt happening, but this Baron should go down in favor. It is going to be Zero that's going to fall down earlier, though, as Kondi grabs himself the Baron and takes down Huni. Bang cannot get himself out of the way. Living Artillery with the execute. It is going to be a turret falling in the mid lane, but I mean, that's the only good thing that you can write about for SKT in that fight, as Wolf wants to stop some backs, does it, so that's frustrating, but otherwise, WE going to be grins all over.
Yeah, Bang couldn't repeat the heroics, didn't have the mana to actually put out considerable damage in that fight. By the time Wolf got there, could only put a single shield onto Faker. The Baron does go over to WE. They had the scaling, they have the Cogmore hitting item timings. and it feels eerily reminiscent of the game against the Flash Wolves.
Okay, but now wealth of options for Team WE. Mountain Dragon will be spawning in 130. You would expect that they would rotate towards that bottom outer tower. You can already see the ping setting up there. So place their vision, secure the tower, play this one slow. You have the Baron buff. There's no need to overreach for those faker dives again because Bang is still playing out of his mind. Yeah,
and once again, you've got a composition coming out from SKT that is very good if you're going to come to them. I mean, Cassiopeia just wants to be dove half the time. The Petrifying Gaze is a difficult one. He is going to get exactly that wish. As now Xie could be in possible trouble, but they're just looking for this tower, and they're going to look for Wolf at the same time. So he is dead once again. Turret goes down, and WE will continue.
And it works out this time because Cooney in the top lane, Bang in the mid lane. Obviously probably didn't expect all 5 members of Team WE to fly there. And because Wolf falls and because SKT are out of position, they're going to break the inhib.
Yeah, inhib's going to go down. It's going to be another Jax just looking on while his team's going to fall apart. Rooney might be able to take down this inner turret, but we'll see what WE can gather further in the base of SKT.
They got the Baron buff recall, so they can't actually stop everyone. Jarvan has already backed. It's just an inner tower. We're going to see the replay. Note that this time, Bang looks like he can clean up. Everyone's low. We've seen the cleanups and the kills from here. Smite does come through at 600. And when Bang runs out of mana here, he just can only run. He has to respect the fact that 3 members can turn onto him. Wolf and Faker on the other side also can't corral WE, and they escape with the Baron.
Nicely done, and that's the Baron inhibitor as well on the bottom side of the map for WE, so that next one should certainly be an option as Xie, no flash still going to get the arrow out of Bang, and they're pressuring SKT all over the map. 18 kills now to 8. It's a 6,000 gold lead. 6 turrets to 4. WE still in control. Not insurmountable yet, and it's only 1 inhibitor, but still, every move on the map belongs to WE.
I mean, they've been backed into a corner right now, and just the composition at this point is actually just punishing SKT. You know, if it goes into the late game, then they have some options, but the only way that they can punish Team WE if they ever do open themselves up for a mistake is a flank from Peanut. They can't flank 5v5 with a Jax.
And their preferential play patterns can't happen as dive.
Yep, there's a heroic entrance as well. Faker looks for the ultimate, finds it, but doesn't find any damage onto anyone. It's going to be Kondi taking a bit of his health bar, but that's about it. He's just going to eat up that Fury, and it should all be fine. Baroned up minions now heading forward, and there's no Cassiopeia to worry about, and Xie is hungry for blood. This will be the second inhib, and WE with another comfort composition look brilliant at 30 minutes into the game.
Won't be able to close it just now, but they are 1 fight, maybe even 2 picks away from ending the game. All the play patterns for SKT that they drafted for are gone. They can no longer play 1-3-1 with Cassiopeia and Jax in top. They will get dive. They cannot have the Jax split push in front of the Jarvan. With his item lead, doesn't matter. He will still get collapsed on. And 5v5s, the Galio, the Kog'Maw, both are online. So it's going to have to take some quintessential SKT outplays for them to get back into the game.
It's going to be incredibly heroic because they don't have any trump cards left. MVP is not necessarily one that they're saving for later. They would have preferred to have a 3-game series without even involving the team theoretically. But now they are going to be looked upon to take victory as we're looking at a reverse sweep theoretically if WE can take down this game for LCK to find their way back.
And then you start looking even bigger picture. You would assume that KT Rolster will have to be the team coming out after this. Do you try to burn OMG on them and make sure you get RNG for MVP?
A lot of mind games to be coming up with. However, 30 minutes into the game, it's not over yet, but it's 8,000 gold the lead. I feel like 10K is what we're going to have to get to before you really feel like SKT are out of it, but they've turned around games that look unwinnable before.
And despite the gold lead, it's really down to the different item breakpoints. Kog'Maw is just massive. Now that he also has his QSS as well as 3 damage items, unless they just immediately get back there and pop him, which is very hard to do with that front line, there's nothing that can stop Misting.
It's not a comp that's set around diving the backline unless Lee Sin can make a god play. It fights front to back with hyperscaping on the tail of Cassiopeia. But Cassiopeia had to go super tank. It was a very early Seraph translation this game. Not even Merlinomicon second, only finished as a 3rd item because Cassiopeia was behind. And it feels like it all stemmed forward from the reach at level 1 to try to contest the Raptors.
Yeah, and then being follow-up gank there as well. It's intelligent.
Teleport.
But there goes Shea. He's going to jump his way forward, but Peanut not going to take too much damage as Huni has a decent flank position. Bank free hitting on the backside and lands the arrow as well. Redemption is going to give them all of their health back as Huni. Nice 3-man stun as the Cataclysm comes down onto Faker. Throws in the ultimate, but doesn't get the stun onto 957, and Mystic is now popping off the flashes from SKT, and that's going to open up the last remaining inhibitor turret. WE, they have so much resilience in these fights, and it's a 1-for-0 as Mystic is going to make it too. It is going to be Bang falling down, and even Zero grabs the kill onto Faker, and this just could be the game for WE.
The teleport is coming in. They're looking to end it here.
This should be the moment. This could be WE rewriting the storybook. Everyone thought LCK 3-0, LCK 3-1. It's going to have to be a 3-2 at the best as WE outplay SK Telecom and make it a 2-0.
And that is going to be the Nexus falling down 22 kills to 8. WE get exactly the composition that they want. Mystic, another wonderful performance.